So there's one visual effects shot where, you know, the hiker's face comes up, and then we see the monster. Um, and I mean, I think you can tell looking at it, but what the raw footage here is, this is of a mask. Excuse me. I had an export over the top, just to make scrolling through the timeline. Hopefully, I thought that might get things to load a little quicker as I was scrolling through. Um, you have this shot of the. It's just like a Halloween mask, and it's a good mask. This came from a, oh, what is their site name? I think the Horror Dome, I think, is the name of the site. Um, and so I took this. It's a great looking mask. Let's full screen this. I think it looks great. It's got a lot of kind of like granular detail on it. I really like the kind of splattering of, just like the paint job on it. I like it a lot. And this is also, I mean, it's two elements. It's that like skull mask, which has like hair on it. And then there's black fur, which came from a piece of costuming I got for a short film I did a couple years ago called The Raven. And that is a short film about a man who transforms into this like giant bird monster. It's a really fun short film. I really enjoy it. I enjoy still watching it. It's an older project. I made it during high school, so it's like it's aged, but it's a lot of fun. It's kind of a werewolf story, and there's romance and there's drama and it's a musical, so it's a lot of fun. But I had this black kind of. This is a collar. Basically, this is like a black, like furry collar. And so we're just pairing that with this mask. Like that's the monster. And so using Photoshop, I added in these eyes, and those are completely tracked in. It's just a 2D track over the raw footage. You can see with the eyes, we're changing the color a little bit around the mask as well. So let's look at the overlay. This is what's coming with it. So it's just a little bit of the area around the mask. It's been recolored slightly, and you can see there's some kind of color bleeding out from around the mask as well to just kind of make sure the mask has the, color temperature I want. Also, like part of what's nice about like tracking in the eyes with part of the mask as well, so that I can use the detail of the nose and the wrinkles there to kind of help position it with the footage below it to make sure everything matches. And the eyes like don't track perfectly to the mask because I think there's a little bit of three-dimensional movement as he tilts the mask to look a little bit more directly into camera. And so the eyes kind of feel like they bounce around in the socket for like a little bit. There's a little bit of drift there. But I also kind of like that. It kind of makes the eyes feel a little bit more alive to me. I don't know. I don't see it as a tracking error. I see it as there's a little bit more life in the shot. Maybe I'm tripping. And then this light leak was, I threw that in the edit just to kind of get the color temperature the way I want it. I don't know if color temperature is exactly the word I'm going for. I used it, what masking, masking, what am I trying to say? The composite mode was overlay. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's just I used it to bring the colors into a little bit more blue, darken the shot a little bit more, add a little bit more contrast. Playing with composite modes is a lot of fun, and I always recommend figuring out what they do, because that, if you don't know much about like photo editing, there's a whole world out there of things that you can do with overlays, playing with different composite modes. So that can add a lot of flavor to your shots. If you know what you're doing. So, like, I really like the way this turns out. There's a lot more contrast with the shot now, because without that, that final overlay, it's just like this is not as impactful. Like this could be good enough, but bringing that contrast, you can see that filled in there's a little bit more shadow around the eyes now, and the eyes pop out a little bit more, and the skull feels a little bit darker. There's more shadow for details to kind of hide in the shadows. And I like that. I think it makes it just, there's something about that kind of wettens the mask a little bit more by adding that contrast. It's like it focuses on the specular highlights a little bit. To me, I don't know, to me it makes it feel more like slimy, something about it, or sleek by increasing the contrast.